Hello from Kingfisher, Oklahoma. Today, 2 Samuel 17 and 18. Well, David is in exile. He's afraid of his son Absalom, who's kind of stolen the people's hearts, and so David flees. But God is frustrating the plans of Absalom's counselors, and they're kind of fighting amongst themselves what is the best course of action. And this is by God's design, because God isn't really interested in David being out of the picture. David is just receiving the punishment that God designed for him for his sin with Bathsheba. So God does plan to bring David back into the fold, and we'll see how that plays out. He does provide for him along the road, though, food and places to stay. So God really does care for David, but this is a blip in the radar. Again, that is a punishment for David's sin with Bathsheba. Well, we kind of see that story go back and forth, and finally David decides he's going to go to war himself. I'm going to go down there, and we're going to have this fight, Absalom and me. But the people beg him, no, please, you're worth 10,000 of us. Don't go. We'll go and fight. You stay here. I mean, that did get him in trouble before, but now he's kind of older and they're not worried about it. But out the people go. And David's side completely routs the side of Israel. They kill like 20,000 men. It's a great slaughter. Meanwhile, Absalom is riding his donkey in the midst of this battle and gets his hair. If you remember his hair, he had lots of it. I mean, he would cut it every year, and it weighed a lot of, it said 200 shekels. I couldn't tell you how much that is. But this hair had grown, and it gets stuck in the tree, and he gets caught. Meanwhile, his donkey just keeps walking, and there he is hanging there from the tree by his hair. Can't get down. Joab hears of this, and he goes and he kills Absalom in order to stop this battle, in order to make ceasefire. And it works. The people then all go to their homes, and David is quite sad about this news. His son is dead, and he makes a big deal about it, and all the people are ashamed, because it's like, oh well, we were victorious in battle for you. We defeated your enemy. We are going to put you back on the throne, but you don't care. You just love your son. So they all go ashamed to their houses, and David is encouraged, hey, listen, now's a great time to be the king, not necessarily a mourning father. So please go do this job. And so he returns. He's going to return there. And I may have gotten a little ahead of myself, but it's an interesting story nonetheless. So here we go. Chapter 17. Moreover, Ahithophel said to Absalom, now let me choose out 12,000 men, and I will arise and pursue after David this night. And I will come upon him while he is weary, weak-handed, and make him afraid. And all the people that are with him shall flee. So if he's going to take 12,000 people, David had 600. Surely they would beat David at this point. And I will smite the king only. I will bring back all the people unto thee, and the men whom thou seekest, who will be if they all return. So all the people shall be in peace. And the saying pleased Absalom well, and all the elders of Israel. And then said Absalom, call now Hushai the Archite also. Let us hear what he saith. And when Hushai was come to Absalom, Absalom spake unto him, saying, Ahithophel hath spoken after this manner. What shall we do after his saying? If not, speak thou. Or shall we do after his saying? Are we going to do what he says, or do you have something else? Hushai said to Absalom, the counsel of Ahithophel hath not given, the counsel that Ahithophel hath given is not good at this time. For said Hushai, thou knowest thy father and his men, and they be mighty men, and they be chafed in their minds, and as a bear robbed of her whelps in the field. And thy father is a man of war, and will not lodge with the people. Behold, he is hid now in some pit or some other place, and it will come to pass, when some of them are overthrown at first, that whosoever heareth it will say, there's slaughter among the people that follow Absalom. He's saying, your dad's tough, he's smart, his men will beat us at the first encounter, and it will scare everybody else, and no one will want to follow you. And he also is valiant, whose heart is the heart of a lion, but it will utterly melt. For all Israel knoweth thy father is a mighty man, and they which be with him are valiant men. Therefore I counsel that all Israel be generally gathered unto thee, from Dan to Beersheba, as the sand is by the sea in multitude, and that thou go into battle in thine own person, so that we shall come upon him in some place where he shall be found. And we will light upon him as the dew falleth on the ground, and of him and all the men that are with him shall not be one left. Moreover, if he's gotten to the city, then shall all Israel bring ropes to the city, and we will draw it to the river, until there be not one stone found there. And Absalom and all the men of Israel said, The counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithophel. For the Lord had appointed to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel, to the intent that the Lord might bring evil upon Absalom. So this is actually working into God's plan. And Hushai said to Zadok and Abiathar, Thus and thus did Ahithophel counsel Absalom and the elders of Israel, and thus I have counseled. So now he's going to pass the word. Now therefore send quickly, tell David, saying, Lodge not this night in the plains of the wilderness, but speedily pass over, lest the king be swallowed up, and all the people with him. Now Jonathan and Ahimaaz stayed at Enrogel, that they might not be seen to come into the city. And a wench went and told them, and they went and told the king. Nevertheless, a lad saw them and told Absalom, but they went away both quickly, and came to a man's house in Bahurim, which had a well in his court, whither they went down. And the woman took a covering over the well's mouth, and spread ground corn thereon, and the thing was not known, so she hid them, kind of like a Rahab sort of deal. And when Absalom's servants came to the woman in the house, they said, Where is Ahimaaz and Jonathan? The woman said to them, They be gone over the brook of water. And when they had sought and could not find them, they returned to Jerusalem. And it came to pass, after they were departed, that they came out of the well, and went and told King David, said to David, Arise, quickly pass over the water, for thus has Ahithophel counseled against you. And David arose, and all the people that were with him, and he went past the Jordan. By the morning light there lacked not one of them that had gone over Jordan. And when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his ass, and arose, and gat him home to his house and to his city, and put his household in order, and hanged himself, and he died, and was buried in the sepulchre of his father. Then David came to Mahanaim, and Absalom passed over the Jordan, and he said to all the men with him, and Absalom made Amasa captain of the host of Joab, which Amasa was a man's son, whose name was Ithara, an Israelite, that went into Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, sister of Zeruiah, Joab's mother. So Israel and Absalom pitched a tent in the land of Gilead, and it came to pass that David was come to Mahanaim, and Shobi, the son of Nahash of Rabbah of the children of Ammon, and Machir, the son of Amiel of Lodabar, and Barzillai, the Gileadite of Rogelim, brought beds and basins and earthen vessels and wheat and barley and flour and parched corn and beans and lentils and parched pulse and honey and butter and sheep and cheese of kine. For David said the people were with him to eat. For they said the people are weary and hungry and thirsty in the wilderness. So God's still providing for David. Chapter 18. David numbered the people that were with him, and set captains of thousands and captains of hundreds of them. David sent forth a third part of the people with the hand of Joab, and a third part under the hand of Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, and the third part under the hand of Ittai the Gittite. And the king said unto the people, I will surely go forth with you myself also. But the people answered, Thou shalt not go forth. For if we flee away, they will not care for us. Neither if half of us die, they will not care for us. But now thou art worth 10,000 of us. Therefore now it is better that thou succor us out of the city. And the king said to them, What seemeth you best I will do. The king stood at the gate, and all the people came out by hundreds and by thousands. And the king commanded Joab and Abishai and Ittai, saying, Deal gently for my sake with the young man, even Absalom. And all the people heard what the king gave all the captains charge concerning Absalom. So save my son, please. So the people went out into the field of Israel, and the battle was in the wood of Ephraim, where the people of Israel were slain before the servants of David. And there was a great slaughter that day, 20,000 men. For the battle was scattered over the face of all the country, and the wood devoured more people that day than the sword devoured. So God kind of won that battle for them. The woods are devouring people. Kind of like a Lord of the Rings sort of thing, I guess, but God did it first. You wonder, anyway. Maybe Tolkien read his Bible a lot. And Absalom met the servants of David, and Absalom rode upon a mule. The mule went under thick boughs of a great oak, and his head caught hold of the oak, and he was taken up between heaven and earth, and the mule that was under him went away. A certain man saw it, and told Joab, and said, Behold, I saw Absalom hanged in an oak. Joab said unto the man, and told him, And behold, thou sawest him, why didst thou not smite him to the ground? And I have given thee 10 shekels of silver, and a girdle. And the man said unto Joab, Though I should receive 1,000 shekels of silver in my hand, yet would I not put forth my hand against the king's son. For in our hearing the king charged thee and Abishai and Ittai, saying, Beware, no one touch the young man Absalom. Otherwise I should have wrought falsehood against mine own life. For there is no matter hid from the king, and thou thyself wouldst have set thyself against me. Joab said, I would not tarry thus against thee. And he took 3 darts in his hand, or spears, as it might be translated, and thrust them through the heart of Absalom while he was still yet alive in the midst of the oak. 10 young men that bare Joab's armor compassed about and smote Absalom and slew him. Joab blew the trumpet, and the people returned from pursuing after Israel. And Joab held back the people. And they took Absalom and cast him in the great pit in the wood, and laid him a very great heap of stones upon him. And all Israel fled, everyone to his tent. Now Absalom, in his lifetime, had taken and reared up for himself a pillar, which is in the king's dale. For he said, I have no son to keep my name in remembrance. And he called the pillar after his own name, and it is called this day Absalom's place. Then said Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, Now let me run and bear the king tidings, and the Lord hath avenged him of his enemies. Joab said unto him, Thou shalt not bear tidings this day, but thou shalt bear tidings another day. But this day thou shalt bear no tidings, because the king's son is dead. Then said Joab to Cushai, Go and tell him what you have seen. And Cushai bowed himself unto Joab and ran. And then Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, he said yet again to Joab, But howsoever let me, I pray thee, I will also run after Cushi. Joab said, Wherefore wilt thou run, my son, seeing thou hast no tiding ready? But, however, he said, Let me run. And so he said, Run. Then Ahimaaz went the way of the plain and overran Cushi. David sat between 2 gates, and the watchman went to the roof over the gate and lifted up his eyes, and behold, a man was running alone. And the watchman cried and told the king, and the king said, If he be alone, there is tidings in his mouth. And he came apace and drew near. The watchman saw another man running, and the watchman called to the porter and said, Behold, another man is running alone. The king said, He also bringeth tidings. And the watchman said, Methinketh the running of the foremost is like Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok. And the king said, He's a good man, and cometh with good tidings. And Ahimaaz called and said unto the king, All is well. He fell down to the earth and on his face before the king, and he blessed be the Lord thy God, which hath delivered up the men that lifted up their hand against my lord the king. The king said, Is the young man Absalom safe? And Ahimaaz answered, When Joab sent the king's servant, and with me thy servant, I saw a great tumult, but I knew not what it was. That's probably not the truth. I mean, it kind of sounds like he's saying, I don't know what's wrong, but he kind of knew already. The king said to him, Turn aside and stand here. And he turned aside and stood still. Behold, Cushai came, and Cushai said, Tidings, my lord the king, for the Lord hath avenged thee this day, and all that rose up against thee. The king said to Cushi, Is the young man Absalom safe? Cushai answered, The enemies of the Lord my king, and all rise against thee to do hurt, be as that young man is. And the king was much moved, and went up to the chamber over the gate, and wept. And as he wept, he said, O my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would God that I had died for thee, O Absalom, my son, my son. So there you go. He's dead. David's going to be back on the throne, and things should return to a little bit better situation. But once again, we see God is right. The sword never does depart from David's household, and the thing that God said would happen came true. And that we can take, as we read the Bible, whatever things that are in there are also true. So, well, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.